All right, so I actually just got to the hotel. This is the second trip I've done with this bag. It's another 3 day trip. And I will say, just with any duffel, honestly, it works best if you're going from your own personal vehicle to hotel. Um, or, if you're maybe staying with a friend or something. Or if you're going from, let's say airport, Uber, taxi to hotel. If you're going from airport, public transportation to hotel or wherever you're going, that might be a lot more rougher than if you had a backpack, just because it's not as convenient to carry around, especially this bag, because the strap itself isn't the most comfortable. I was thinking about maybe getting a seatbelt cushion that looks, I forget what they call it, but it looks like wool. The handles themselves, no issue with these. But once I get back home, I'll do a full breakdown of what I have in there. Overall, I'm actually pretty happy with this, especially for how I use it. Yeah, we'll see you then. All right, so we're back at the house. I kind of unpacked everything, and I think I'm just gonna go over what should actually fit in here, and kind of expectations you should have for a duffel bag in general. So with this one, it was made with G1000 Heavy Duty S, or Heavy Duty Eco. I can't remember. Heavy Duty something, but that basically means it was waxed on both sides. So I'm pretty sure in the factory, all that means that it was rolled in between two rollers, sandwiched in the middle, with wax being pressed into it on both sides. And so that basically means that, right now, it's empty and it stands up by itself, which is I kind of like. It makes it easier to pack, and I think it's just indicative of a better aesthetic. But the downside to this is that sometimes when you crease it, it'll leave a mark. So right here, there's a white line from where it was bent. Some people might not like that, if they want to have a perfectly looking bag. Other people will like it because it gives it like a sense of wear. Another downside to this, I found that, I don't know if it's maybe, it could just be my house, but G1000 tends to attract a lot of dust. Or maybe not attract the dust, but if dust falls on it, it's going to stay on it. So you can kind of see it on there. Some of that's just a wax marking, some of that's dust. Yeah. So there's that. I think I kind of spoke about this in the beginning part of the video, but this strap is a little uncomfortable. It is really easy to adjust though, no issues with that. One thing I would be worried about in the long term is that the buckles are made with plastic. It's kind of hard to tell now, and I'm sure these have been used in other Fjallraven products. I don't know. I'd just be a little worried that it would eventually wear away and break. I'll have to press it closed and that comes off. So I would think that motion from closing it like that would eventually wear it down. Or maybe this little notch right here would snap off, because it does seem kind of thin. Because all that does is retain the metal spring. That goes back right on. Alright. Now another thing, some of the other duffel bags actually have a way you can store the strap. This, you really can't do that, so if you take it off, you have to put it in the bag or put it somewhere else. You might lose it, just one consideration. But the handles themselves, really nice. They actually go, excuse me, they actually go all the way around the bag to the bottom. You can see it's a little dusty on the bottom as well. Now the bottom of this bag actually has some padding to it. I haven't seen it in any pictures, but there it is. So the bottom does have a different material, and it is very slightly padded, very slightly. Not a whole lot, but there's a very thin layer of what I assume is foam. What else? Oh, so it has 2 pockets, and only 2 pockets. That is an external pocket on this side. It zips right open. No problem with that. It has this protective overlap, which I kind of prefer because I found that when there's rain, just having this really helps out a lot because the zippers aren't waterproof and it just tends to go right through. Very small little pouch, about the same size as this bracket right here. I've never actually used it. I don't tend to use these smaller pouches, and it's small enough to where I'm not sure what you could actually fit in there. And it has an internal pouch right there. Kind of goes through the same bracket right there. It's kind of one of those things where you really can't fit too much in there, especially if you have the bag full. So I wouldn't really consider that too much, unless you're putting maybe cards or receipts in there. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of room. And it's kind of like, if you fill it up, it's going to impede the other pouch. If you fill up both sides of this pouch, you're not going to have a lot of room. Let's see. So my expectation when I got this was just to have a simple duffel bag, right? I was looking at the High Coast 36-liter duffel bag, and I wasn't a huge fan of the shape. When I think of duffel bag, I think of a circular type of bag, classic style. So I'm thinking of like maybe the North Face Base Camp duffel bag. Those are round. I really like those. There are a lot of like when I think of like duffel bag, I always think of like the classic gym bag that's like a circular, and all it has is like handles. So this kind of falls into that category. Really simple. It's $90, but I think around with tax it's $100. I actually got it 10% off, and so that actually paid just $90. Let's see what else. So that's pretty much it for the bag. Like I said, the shape is, you kind of see on the side, the shape is circular. It does have a flat bottom, so it's kind of U or D shaped. Yeah, well, so when it comes to this and the Highland Coast, if you're trying to pick between the two, I personally prefer the 30-liter Vardag, and that's mostly just because of the material. It's really nice and thick. I'm not too worried about it. I have I had a backpack, the same color, and it was a hiking bag. I don't remember what it was called actually, but I did not have to worry about the branches or anything scraping holes in it or what have you. I think this material is a lot better than the High Coast duffel bag, because it just seemed too thin. I think that's okay if you're using it for maybe not travel, but a gym bag. I think that's fine. But as for a travel bag, if you're gonna be going to an airport, you're gonna put it in the overhead bin. You might be checking it in. There's lots of wear and tear points and snag points between that. So, with all that said, I'm gonna go ahead and pack it up. So as this is a 30-liter bag, I want to say it kind of maxes out as 3 to 4 nights stay, right? It kind of depends on whether you're staying at a place that you want to have a change of clothes, to eat at a fancier restaurant if you want to experience that, or if you're just kind of out there to experience the overall, I guess, populace. Like you're not really worried about going to fancy places. You just want to go take pictures. You want to go hiking somewhere, that kind of thing. It usually means you only have like maybe one pair of jeans or one pair of pants and multiple changes of shirts and underwear or what have you. So let's say in this case you want to have multiple pairs of, or at least one extra pair of change of clothes. So you want to go to a fancy place, right? So to represent that, I have 2 pairs of blue jeans, thick enough to represent another pair of clothes that you want to dress into for a fancy restaurant. So let's put these in. Let's see. So this goes right in. And You know, I haven't really watched a lot of traveling content until recently, and it seems like what's really popular are packing cubes. So I actually do have a couple of things I could consider packing cubes, I guess, but I don't think I want to use them for this because not everybody uses packing cubes. I haven't used packing cubes until literally like last week, so I think it's fine. I think it's good for organization, but all right, so that's two blue jeans. We'll put some shirts in there next. And also, when you travel, it's always important to fold your clothes in a way that makes things easier to fit. So this is, I don't know what you call this, but I saw a video on it a while back, and ever since I always fold my clothes like this for traveling. It's like a military style fold, and it really helps with space. This isn't really a great representation of that because you can get them a lot neater and tidier, but this is just for a quick video. So put those in. That's 2, 3, third shirt, 3, and I think there's another way. There's like a ranger roll or something, and that actually gets them a lot smaller. That's 4 shirts. Okay, 4 shirts, and let's say you want to have an extra one, right? You want to have an extra shirt, put that in there. 5 shirts. All right, you got that. And you have your toiletry bag. Okay, so we'll put that in here. We'll actually put this on the very far side of the bag. We'll have that. And then I have just a unfolded stack of underwear. So we'll stuff that in there. And we actually still have space. Right there. So I'll just go ahead and grab, let's say you want to go on a little hike, right? You want to go on a little hike. I think it was a Coleman cook kit. We'll put that at the bottom. We'll have and if you're flying, you're not going to put this in there, but this is just to kind of show what you can put in. Fuel. We'll get the pocket rocket in there. We got a phone charger, battery. Put that in there. All right, so I actually forgot, since this is you're going to a fancy restaurant, you're going to bring a pair of fancy shoes. So I have this in a REI expandable packing cube. It's the large version, and we'll go ahead and put this in here. See if we have enough room. I have to take out that fuel. Let's see. All right, here we got the repack. Maybe not. Maybe I put too much in there. No. All right, so I had to rearrange some things. And I took out the fuel canister because if you are going on the trip, you're probably going to be taking the small version of the fuel canister. I don't have one of those anymore. I tend to only use the big ones, but if you camp out, you know that there's a smaller one that's actually a lot more convenient for smaller trips or quick trips. There you have it. There's about 4 nights of clothes in there. Depending on how you pack it, you probably fit more, probably fit less, depending on how you fold your clothes. There you have it. There you go. Now, like I said in the earlier video, the first part of this, I think a lot of people sleep on duffel bags. They're really useful for, just like, I guess we'd call it base camp type of style of travel. So like I said, if you go to a hotel and you expect to stay at the hotel for a while, you're not going to be moving around a lot. Just get a duffel bag, and it's easier to move around. I think it's easier to move quantities of clothing or equipment or what have you. The main point that I see people don't like is that it's not convenient to carry around. But I think the inconvenience is worth it. The inconvenience is worth it because in the end, you don't really have to worry about carrying two backpacks at once. I think that's kind of the main contention point for me. I have done that before, where I have to do two backpacks. It's kind of annoying. It's easier for me to have one duffel bag and then one small backpack. I know some people kind of subscribe to the one bag type of policy where they only have one bag to travel around. And for me, that's maybe as convenient as that is to travel with, it's not as convenient to actually move around with at the location you're already at, right? Because I do like to have some sort of separation of bags, because if I'm doing one bag, the bag's probably going to be a little bit bigger. I know some people get really small with their bags and that's their one bag, and I think that's really impressive. But for me, I want a little bit more of more leeway, and to do that, I like to have usually a duffel bag or a large backpack, and then I have a smaller backpack that I can use to go around town or what have you. And I think this really fits that type of philosophy of use, I guess. Now, with that said, I think you should just use what you have, right? If you have one or two backpacks, use those backpacks, right? I'm not trying to have you go out there and buy a new duffel bag, right? Because this was, like I said, $90. $90 with a coupon, right? If I wanted to buy this without the coupon, it would be $100 or so, right? And I think, especially right now, I think people need to be a little bit more conscientious with their spending, and it really helps. So I've kind of subscribed to the idea of buying less to buy better, So in this case, I probably could have bought like 2 to 3 other duffel bags that were cheaper quality, but I kind of like the ethos of Fjallraven, and I especially like the G1000. I did want a canvas bag that had a little bit more durability to it, and here it was, and I got that, right? And I will say that you can get a lot of good things on sale or used, right? So if you're buying, let's say from Patagonia, you can obviously buy it on sale, right? At their end of the year, I don't know what you call it, but it's like an end of year style sale, I guess, before they cycle in the new next year's styling, right? You can buy that used or on sale, and since it's such a higher quality product, I don't feel like I'm at a loss of usage because it's such a high quality product. Like if I was buying a backpack that was, let's say I'm buying a JanSport backpack, right? They're pretty cheap. There's not a lot to them, but their quality is just a little. The quality's there, but not on the same level as, let's say, like a Patagonian backpack, right? You're getting more use out of the Patagonia backpack than a used JanSport from eBay, right? Obviously it kind of depends on what level of usage it received, and you can always, decide that from the pictures. But, you buy less, you buy better. And I've always done that with the majority of my purchases, probably starting from like 3 years ago. And I have found that I tend to save more money by doing that, actually. And the products that I buy, I end up just keeping, and they're good for a long time. So a couple of examples of that is these packing cubes that I just got recently. These were used, and I had no qualms about them. Back to the bag. Let's go ahead and unpack it. Like I said, depending on how you fold your clothes, you can fit more. I kind of didn't do a good job arranging your clothes in a certain way. There are the shoes. And like I said, these packing cubes are convenient. You don't need them. I just recently got those, and I used them on the last trip that I went on. They're okay. I think I will continue using them, but I don't think I'll be buying any more. So that's one t-shirt. 2 t-shirt, 3 t-shirt, 4 t-shirt, 5 t-shirt, pocket rocket, cook set, underwear, battery, toiletry bag, and 2 blue jeans. So like I said, I don't think if you're going to a fancy restaurant, you're going to be packing a pair of blue jeans, maybe another, you know, say a blouse. You're packing an extra blouse. You're packing an extra pair of slacks. You have an extra t-shirt. I think this is a pretty good representation, just how thick blue jeans are and how they're not really great at packing down. I think that's a good representation or substitution for this at the very least. But yeah, like I said, I bought the packing cubes used. I got this used off of eBay, and yeah, almost every travel item or backpacking item that I've used is actually used, and I've never had any loss of quality in that. So I would recommend that you kind of try it out. I will say that on the first trip that I went on this with, I put a full-sized shampoo bottle and conditioner in there, and the conditioner, I guess, got a little squeezed, and it put a bunch of conditioner on the inside where I packed it. You can't see it now, so I just used a wet rag with the cold water, and I scrubbed it off. You can't, there's no markings of it anymore in there. It came right off. So yeah, you can clean this. It's really simple, but since it is wax on both sides, throwing it in the washer with hot water will remove some of the wax. It's not really recommended. So I think if that's a concern of yours, I'd say definitely a fully synthetic bag would be a lot easier to clean than this because of the wax, because it's cotton plus what is it, polyester. Yeah, overall, I think if you want a simple duffel bag with a classic shape, no frills, I think this is a good option. Yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think, and if you have any other duffel bag recommendations.